Mhm.
Welcome to the Behind the Art Inspiration podcast. In these special edition episodes of Creative Lifebook interviews, I'll meet with co authors of the book and discuss their creative life hacks. This is the Creative Lifebook, and it's written by Jessica Hughes along with 65 thought leaders, creatives, wellness experts, and artists. And it's got a foreword written by Dr. Joe Vitale. And today I'm meeting with artist, author, and coach Kira McCoy, the author of chapter number 23, Daily Habits Support a Creative Life. So, how are you doing, Kira?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Right before we jumped on here and I pressed record, you told me about the creative. Tell me your website again. The Create Along. Create
Createalong.com.
Along.
hmm
And so, tell me about that. To me, it sounds like you're inviting me to create with you.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah. So I started my career as an art teacher and actually taught art in Broward County, Florida. And at the same time was developing a YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is very niche. It's for people who like polymer clay crafting. So I kind of stumbled into polymer clay during college because I was a potter
Mhm.
and I love sculpting. And polymer clay is something easy to do at home without all the extra equipment and kiln and everything else. So the YouTube channel intro and outro, we always said, come create along with us. And it just kind of evolved into that was the name of the company. So when I looked for a domain name and create along was available, it was like, I can't believe this name is still available as a .com. So I'm taking it.
And
So it's an invitation. It is.
yeah, and what I do know about you is you were just on television. Like it's super cool and fun, and I think that your Create Along kind of uh, helped you along with many other things, but that's what you were doing on television, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I was talking about that and showing off some of the tools and supplies
Hmm.
because in its heart, like Create Along is where I manufacture and create art supplies and then teach people how to use them.
Tell me more about that. So you create and manufacture art supplies, and I did watch the television show. So
Mm.
tell us a little bit about like what are you talking about? Like what is that
Okay.
about?
So polymer clay is an oven baked clay, and I'm just looking at like what's right here in front of me. So I make things like cutters and like different shapes that you can use to cut clay and molds. So here's one that can be used for actually resin or clay to make earrings. I also make stencils. So this is a stencil that looks like bricks, and then this is what you would make from it, like a sheet of clay to make a fairy house or a fairy door or something like that. So my company makes these. We manufacture the stencils, the cutters. Um, I just invented this awesome new way of doing little tiny stamps because we kind of cross over into other art mediums. So the leather stamps that you would use to make patterns in leather are something that people like, but we don't need a tool that's made of metal because the clay is soft. So I developed my a set of tips. They're little tips
Hmm.
that make little tiny stampings, and they have an interchangeable handle. So I innovate a lot of things. I try to come up with solutions to problems that are going to make my life easier. For example, we use silk screens as well. I don't know. Here, I have one. So this is a silk screen.
Hmm.
And traditionally, those are made with a photopolymer emulsion. And I said to myself, I am not standing outside with a hose for hours every day, rinsing out photo emulsion from screens because I'm going to sell thousands of these.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
developed a new way of making them in 2014. So I like to innovate and do things my way.
Hmm.
And the art supply business happened because I saw someone making a silk screen for fabric, and it wasn't photopolymer, and I was like, how are you doing that? So I ordered one, and just fell in love with the process, and then that process ended, so I had to innovate a new one. It's kind of fun, like when you have a company based on a product and suddenly the manufacturer of the raw materials says, we're discontinuing this worldwide forever. So then you have to turn around and say, how else can I do it? But I mean, the art supply business just came because I'm an artist, I'm a teacher, and I also am a digital, adopter of tools. So I realized I could take my art and turn it into a digital design, which I could then turn into an art supply so other people could have my designs. And it just grew from there.
That is so super fabulous, fantastic. I can't even tell you. Just I'm like, wow. And so I love to use things. I don't know, you can kind of see behind me, like right there, like in my work. And I'm finding like the little things that you held up. I'm using that kind of stuff in my art, my art. I'm not manufacturing anything, but I am coming up with, ooh, that looks like it would make a cool stamp, and sometimes like there'll be like kids Play-Doh tools, and I'm like, that's a
Right.
cool star. And then all of a sudden that star ends up in like the skies of my paintings, right?
Mhm.
To be the manufacturer of all of those cool things is just super like, wow, that is so fun. And
Yeah.
just wow, it's pretty cool. Um, sorry, just like wow. Um, Now, in your book, your title is called Daily Habits Support a Creative Life.
Mhm.
And so I have read, your chapter, and you came up with some bullet points.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about those, or want me to go through a couple of them?
Um, which one strikes you? Let me open to my chapter and
Let's
read
see.
along.
Well, first of all, um, 45% of every single thing you do in a day is a routine or a habit.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. So if you've studied habits or if you're interested in habit forming, the reason for that is because your brain has better things to do than remember your routine every day, right? So the issue becomes you develop habits based on what you do, and your brain says, great, we know how to do that. That's how you can end up at work and not remember driving there because you know the route and you've done it 80 times or 180 times. So your brain says, great, we got this, so that you can think about other things while you're doing that. And then the question that I posit in here is, did you make those habits on purpose, or did your habits make you?
And as a teacher,
Hmm.
as both of us being teachers, because I'm also a early childhood teacher, I know you can appreciate the last day of school, which was today for me. And
Okay.
so the habit that, I do curate so that I can also be a full-time artist at the same time that I'm, going and teaching for a little bit of time. Um,
Uh-huh.
I do have some really yummy habits that I love during the school year.
Hmm.
Eating, uh, getting up early to do my yoga practice, drinking water throughout the day, and then you shift to summer.
Hmm.
Yeah, and because you have a more of a limited time, your painting practice happens ritually,
Sure.
right? So then when the summer comes, you're like, oh, I can sleep in, but is that a good idea? You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? Like, what do I want to keep? I would definitely want to keep eating nicely and doing my yoga, but there's always that
Mhm.
that shifting time, and then you get so used to your new routine there in the summer, and then boom, it's time to
Right.
go back.
Yeah, and that's definitely a thing for people who have cyclical jobs like teaching. But then you can take it right back down to your regular week. I
Yeah.
mean, you can do a great job with your curated habits on the weekdays, and then the weekend comes and you're like, what am I? What do I? am I going to do the good things, like the quote unquote good things, or am I going to cheat on myself this weekend and do things that I don't normally do? Or do I just have a regular daily routine and I practice it no matter what? So I think that planning and forming habits, like if you're going to have a different habit on Saturday and Sunday mornings because you don't have to drive to work, that's awesome. But you can let the day get away from you if you don't put something into place.
Yeah.
So, and I really feel like it's the small little everyday tiny almost minuscule microscopic things that you do that really equal your life and your state of mind and state of being. It's not like the big huge things. So that's why I talk about daily habits.
Mm-hmm. So you're also an author and a coach. What are you a coach of? Are you a writing coach? What kind of coach are you?
I am a income streams coach. So
Oh, gotcha.
next month, I'm actually featured in a summit for business building because my business has 21 streams of income.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, I just develop one after another. Once one is rocking and rolling, then we move into the next thing. And I have a process for doing that. And I like to teach other people how to do that because if you're running a business, it can be devastating if all your eggs are in one basket, so to speak. I mean, kind of like what happened with my silk screening. If I hadn't had more things in my product line and the manufacturer of my materials told me you can't get this anymore starting next week, my business could have failed. So being flexible and developing other ways to make money with your skills and knowledge that you already have is kind of my specialty.
Wow. So far we've heard about, well, you might not have said it, but you make jewelry,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's one. You paint?
I do. That this painting behind me of the unicorn is one of my things that I kept for myself. But yeah, I do paint, and I'm also a Pebeo certified product specialist. So I've got a lot of information about the Pebeo fantasy paints and alkyds and mixed media. So that's my favorite thing, and kind of how I fell into polymer clay is just mixed media.
And do you use polymer on your painted surface? Are you mixed media like that?
Sometimes, or I'll cut a hole in something and stick polymer in it. Um, there's a specific type of polymer clay called ultralight that's really great for sticking on a canvas because it's ultralight. But the surface of it is kind of toothy, like a gesso, so it accepts paint nicely. So yes, I'll do that. Or I'm looking, before we started talking, you said you had something on the wall distracting you, and I have something across my wall that's like a faux taxidermy deer head with antlers. And that is painted and clay and puffy paint and rhinestones. It's got all kinds of stuff all over it. So
Wow, that sounds really cool to look at. Um, let's see, another thing you have. Let's see. I love this book because it's like my research manual. I can read about everyone in here.
Mhm.
Move one thing in your space. That's something, when I read that right before we got on here, I was like, I know exactly what I'm going to be moving. Like,
Okay.
it'll be a big move though. It's going to be a big
Oh,
move. But talk to me about that a little bit.
okay. So I tend to be, I like ritual just in general. And a lot of times I will walk into this art studio, which is a mess right now, and look at it and say, that's a mess, that's a mess, that's a mess. I can't do it, and walk back out,
Yeah.
because it's too much. As opposed to what I've done for myself now is I have this right in front of me. There is a kitchen cart. It's a small cart, and it has my filming stuff for when I do polymer clay videos for YouTube and Instagram. And the little tripod that you are on right now actually flips down so you can look at the table and see what my hands are doing. And this, because it's a kitchen island, is mobile.
Mhm.
So I can move it around, I can put my lighting near it, and like that's the space I have to keep clean because I know I need to come in here to do marketing videos. Um, and then next to it is like a table where I can dump stuff. And over here is another mobile station that I use for photography. And I find that if I walk into the room and I'm feeling that cyclone feeling,
Mhm.
then I can just clean one surface and move it to like a clean part of the room and focus and get what I need to get done. And then the other part of so kind of what I'm saying with that is like do what works for you,
Mhm.
because originally I had big glass tables in here, and those are great for clay work, and they're really make painting cleanup easy and everything. But you know what? Once there's a bunch of stuff on that table, that's a heavy table, and the table's not going to move. So I have to clean the whole table
Yeah.
to work again, which can just be a lot. So I made my little stations mobile so I could roll them around and use them where I want to. And then the other part of moving something is like sometimes just the energy gets clogged up, and I've been looking at this thing for too long and I need it to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So just moving one thing kind of gets it out of your brain space so that you don't have to stare at it anymore and worry or think or wonder about it. Just kind of like put it to the side.
The best way to get me to straighten up my studio here is that I'm going to be shooting a video that is showing my workspace. That's like a
Right.
surefire because I'm looking at right now and I'm like, whoa. And I like to shoot these time lapse videos. They're kind of fascinating where you what I have is like first of all I have paint everywhere, but I mean even right here, like right here, got like just a bunch of tubes of paint. But anyways, I have a dedicated large palette that's about that big. It's just covered right now. But I like to film the cleanup like in time
Mhm.
lapse and then the setting up, and then I like to set the paints out by like uh color coded, like color like similar colors, and it
Mhm.
always is real fun to watch that. But that'll get me to clean my studio sort of like a parrot to be able to share and watch it. But
I
yeah.
never thought about filming the cleanup, but I think I'm going to try that.
Oh yeah,
Well,
it's so
people love it. Like I've noticed, I've done a before and after, kind of like sweep through the room on my Instagram, and those always get a lot of um, activity because people like seeing, like, I guess they like seeing from mess, from like hot mess to clean area. So that's fun.
yeah. I've done many of them. Like you would think that you could reuse one from a long time ago, but the mess is different each time.
Hmm.
Um, okay, let's see. Move your body. Of course, we all love that, and everybody has their different ways of moving their body. How do you like to move your body?
I usually take one of my dogs for a walk in the morning
Hmm.
because I have two dogs, and one of them is kind of like would rather sit on the couch.
Hmm.
And the other one starts bouncing the minute we wake up. So I take her with me for a couple mile walk. And I also, I lift weights. I like to go to the gym. So those are my primary ways of moving. I stretch a little. I'd love to be able to say I do yoga, but I just have never stuck to a practice. So I might do some yoga moves.
Yeah, I think I've been immersed in yoga now for, I don't know, 15, 20 years, and it is a daily practice for me.
Hmm.
So I don't know, I kind of crave it at this point, which is what happens when you practice a habit, as you know.
Hmm.
You
Yes.
Mhm. Um, Now, you mentioned many different places, and I'm going to put places in the show notes that you would like, but where can people find you? I mean, they could watch your television show you were on, they could watch your YouTube channel because I heard it was very wildly popular. And
Yeah.
and you wrote a book, co-authored a couple books. Where can they find you?
Createalong.com is going to be the main website.
Okay.
And then if you want to watch on YouTube, it's at Polymer Clay TV.
Okay. and I'll put that all in the show notes. And thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And
It
thank
was
you,
great. Yeah.
everybody else for watching and listening as I share my love of art, connection, collaboration, and sign up in the little box so you can hear more of these authors share about their lives and their creative hacks, because I've gotten to know so many really cool entrepreneurs by doing this and people. But thanks again. Bye.